By the way, you have at your disposal here at the end of the session a couple of pages on summary of the Infinity Roadmap, and of course you have the leaflet with all the information.
Many thanks, Jack. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and talk a bit about future internet infrastructure. My role in the directorate is to be responsible for experimental platforms, as my unit is called. So basically the theme is, or the message is that to get from research results and ideas, experimentation is key and quite important. And I will mention some of what we are doing, but then also remind you a bit on the relation to the future internet PPP, and also some words on the upcoming 5G activity where we are also involved. So basically, the starting point is that the systems are becoming very complex, very heterogeneous, and it's difficult to simulate all these developments. We are convinced that experiments have to take place in a real setting, in large-scale settings, where real traffic load and real users are involved in the developments. And basically it's becoming so complex, so nobody will in the future be able to let's say, handle or finance these very big testing facilities. This is a bit to illustrate my own activity, FIRE, Future Internet Research and Experimentation. We started some years ago on the networking layer with a number of projects. We have continued and created playgrounds, as this image illustrates. We have now around 10 big facilities. We have on cognitive radio, wireless, clouds. We have also on service and applications, sensors, but also on smart cities. So we have a number of smart cities projects actually, which are now also coming into the future internet PPP as, let's say, important ingredients. Especially in the smart cities project, we also have a lot of relations to users. We have the living lab environment around these projects. ENOL, the European network of living labs, is very active in this particular project. So FIRE in Horizon 2020, how are we moving forward? We have these around 10 facilities, as I mentioned, up and running. We see that they are applying different ways of doing their experiments. We see there is a need for federation. So we have one particular project which is called Fed for Fire, which have the ultimate task to make this federation happening. And the idea is also to invite regional and national initiatives who could, let's say, enlarge this activity further in the future. Experimentation as a service is something we would like to see in the coming years. When we have a more close federation, where we have tools and measures which could be used between these facilities, we see a possibility where researchers, wherever they are situated in Europe, could have access to these facilities and make their experiments. Virtual experimentation is also something we are promoting in our next call. As you may be aware, the next call is closing 23rd of April, so there is still a bit of time to have a look at possibilities also in this area. So the access to these facilities is something we are proposing and hope to see in very soon, actually, in coming years. Just to compare a bit FIRE with the future Internet PPP. So basically, as I mentioned, we started in FIRE with networks, and we went a bit upwards to different services, applications, but the starting point was certainly network. We are, let's say, providing platforms and tools for experimentation, that's clear. Hands-on access to the experimental facilities is what we are providing and will do even further in the future. So basically we are going from a research idea, I would say, prototypes to protocols, new ideas. While the PPP is more on generic and specific enablers, more domain-specific services, I would say, certain areas. We have seen that in the presentations we have heard already today. Very much on the application layer, of course, and based on the FI-ware platform, which you are all aware of at this point in time. So these are the three of the main, I would say, projects involved in this exercise. FI-ware, we have already heard, many of you are involved in that. We will hear more about Infinity and Ecfi later. Infinity have started quite some time ago and has played a quite important role to set up the repository for experimental infrastructures called Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi and Sci-Fi, yeah. And Sci-Fi is the project which started more recently, which is leveraging existing public investments in advanced infrastructure. We will hear more about these two projects later, but just let me remind me briefly on what Infinity is providing. So basically they are doing analysis on where investment should be directed. They are much related to public authorities. They are looking into the matters of sustainability, which is quite important. So they are, let's say, identifying the main challenges for sustainability, also making checklists for how to get this going. And it's a special interest for public authorities, I would say, to have a look at how should investments be done in the future in order to reach the public goals. They have already set up 230 infrastructures on the repository. That was a difficult word. And they are still expanding this activity. And I think this is a fantastic catalog to look into what's available at the moment. 5G is a topic also for tomorrow. We believe that 5G requires a rethink of the future. What 5G is not absolutely clear at this moment in time. We believe it means faster access. We think it means ubiquitous, immersive connectivity. Wherever we are, we should be connected. We think that virtualization is a key component. We think it is more based on upgradable software. This is something which should be looked into further, we think. And support very wide range of applications, IoT, etc., is of course main parts of this development. More capacity is an obvious direction for this activity. We are looking for, let's say, building further on the fire experimentation heritage or knowledge. I would say we are looking for testing environment, demonstrating an environment where 5G could be tested. I don't see it in one single activity. I guess it will be a distributed activity, but well federated to get demonstration coming even in a very short period of time, actually. So basically, this is what we are looking for, and we have good indications that we will have possible developments in that direction pretty soon. So basically, conclusions on internet infrastructure and experimentation, I would say. FIRE is developing experimentation as an open service to technology, platforms and services, to researchers and development. So from wherever you are, researchers should in the coming years have access to these facilities. So from idea, from research idea, from a research result deliverable to hands-on experience. And virtual experimentation will play a bigger role in the future. So basically, the PPP and FIRE are complementary. The accelerator, the 16 which are now starting, will certainly be a good complement, and we see already that a number of smart cities activities are involved from our area, which is very promising. The PPP is developing services application based on innovative and complex infrastructures. We have heard that already. And 5G is coming up. We'll discuss it tomorrow. And the discussion could be around, how do we relate? How do the PPP relate to the new development on the 5G? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Per. Are there any questions at this stage? We will have a Q&A session at the end, but if one of you wants to ask a question now. Yes, please. Do we have a mic? Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, please, you can come and... Yeah. It's coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Blixt. My name is Walter Mattau from Program Management Agency DLR from Germany. I think it is a really good idea to have an experimentation and benchmarking or validation function also for a new program. My question is whether this would also be a good idea to have kind of a benchmarking or validation function for the generic and the specific enablers of the FI-PPP.
The validation and benchmarking is something we are developing in FIRE in several projects, and I fully agree. I think that is something that could well be aligned and let's say suggested for the PPP and the development there. It's a good idea. Yeah, I take it with me.
Other questions? No? Okay. So